Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls. In today's episode, we'll talk about Scottie Pippen saying the Bulls are not built for the playoffs. Will DeMar Derozan rank higher next season in the MVP voting? And then lastly, we'll get into your voicemails. All that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls Central and Chicago Bears Central. Nonetheless, we are here today to talk about Bulls topics. And first up, we got Bulls legend Scottie Pippen, man. It's been an interesting 18 months for Scottie Pippen, bro. Like, it's been a really, really interesting 18 months. Like, all the Jordan hate. Matter of fact, it's been longer than that. Ever since The Last Dance came out, it's been all downhill for Scottie since then, man. Like, and I understand it, right? When anytime you live in an age where your wife is publicly getting relaxed by I wasn't gonna say it. By the most toxic rapper in the world. You know, I mean, it does some things to you mentally, but nonetheless, Scottie Pippen has said that the Bulls are not built for the playoffs. Now, considering how the playoffs went, some fans may even agree with that. Where do you sit with that right now, Pat, on Scottie's comments about the Bulls and their where they sit for the playoffs?
Well, he talked about kind of like how they reverted back to how they've been the last 10, 12 years in the playoffs, or 10, 12 years in the league, basically, when the playoffs started, and how they couldn't match up with a lot of the teams that were there and stuff like that. But I just feel like, right, you're not taking a lot into account. Now, I will agree, right? Like, I don't think that we go into that thing and steamroll the Milwaukee Bucks. They were the defending NBA champions. I think that it's pretty obvious that they were going to be a tough out. But I think you also have to take into account, right, like not having a guy on the court in Lonzo Ball who shot 48% from the three-point line this season. Or 48% from the corner three this season. 45% on catch and shoot, and above 40% from every spot behind the three-point line. That changes that series dramatically because the Bulls had nobody that can knock down shots. Also, Zach LaVine being completely unhealthy changes that series dramatically because Zach LaVine couldn't knock down shots, right? Like, those are two guys that could have changed that series completely for you. And I think that the Bulls could have beaten the Milwaukee Bucks if that's the case, where you got guys. Like, how many times did we just look around and be like, man, if anybody could hit a shot, like, at this point, I'd take Matty Legend being back out here just because I know he can hit a shot. He's getting cooked on the other end by Grayson Allen for sure, but so is everybody else apparently. So I don't agree that the Bulls aren't built for the playoffs. In fact, I think at a minimum, I will say this, I don't think they were built to go to the ECF per se.
That's fair.
You know, I don't think they were built to go to the ECF, but I think, like, I wouldn't have been surprised if the Bulls had beaten the Milwaukee Bucks after we saw how Milwaukee was playing defense against us.
I mean, I look at it this way, right? We don't know what he meant by built for the playoffs. If you meant to go on a significant playoff run, like, okay, yeah, we're like you said, we're not gonna unless this team really gels and we see leaps, we're not gonna go to the finals, right? So, if that's what he meant by it, in fairness, okay, I understand that, right? But let's wait and see if, and hopefully we get to see a fully healthy Bulls team for the majority of the season. If this Bulls team is healthy by the playoffs, healthy through, I say, about 80-85% of the season, then I think some of those minds change on just what type of playoff team this Chicago Bulls team can be. It's up to them to prove it. You can't ever bet on health. You know, that's one of the things that really are out of your control. But at the end of the day, it's like a team that has, like, when you look at the Bulls, even after that complete fall off after the All-Star break, when you look at their, like, offensive efficiency, even some of their defensive efficiency at times, it's like, hey, this is a team that could go on a playoff run, but we absolutely need to see it. Listen, Show and prove, bro. Potential only gets you so far. You got to show and prove to a degree. And the Bulls did not show and prove last season, so I can understand the doubt.
I mean, I think it's I get it, right? And Scottie's not breaking down basketball as like an analyst anymore. So like he's probably just breaking it down.
Why? Because he sucked at it. But
yeah. He was pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie to you. And no matter what, like it always turned back into like Michael Jordan takes for some reason. Just be like, you know what? I would believe that Michael Jordan is a pretty good player, but you know, I'd take LeBron James over. And be like, we were talking about the Knicks, Scottie. How do we get the LeBron James?
Well, we did keep the Knicks from winning a title, and
you know what I mean? Like, fifth championship run. Good Lord, there. He kind of little quick draw McGraw-ish. You know what I mean? Little quick draw McGraw-ish, and anyway. But I look at I feel like it's irresponsible to not take into account the fact that the Bulls are injured. And I understand you can say, oh well, everybody's injured. Yeah, but it's about who's healthier. And the Bucks were a healthier team when you went into the playoffs. Yes, they lost Chris Middleton, but you can win a lot if the giant Greek guy stays alive.
And people forget that too. It's different between, they lost Chris Middleton, who is a big piece of that team, don't get me wrong. But when you have a generational player on your team, you can offset that just a little bit easier, right? Like the Bulls have some really good players. They don't have a generational player on their team. Like, so it changes some things.
And you need that group of guys for the team to be what it is. I keep telling guys, go back, and Muggs want to discredit, where the Bulls started the season at because of how the season ended. But look at the change that was there. Like that team, when it was healthy, was one of the quickest teams, was one of the best defensive teams, was one of the best offensive teams, and sat atop the Eastern Conference. That's not something you do for 40-plus games, and it's just a fluke. Now, how the Bulls were shooting was from behind the three-point line was a little bit of a fluke, and even Billy Donovan called that out. He said that's just not going to sustain it. So I think at one point we were shooting above 50% from behind.
Yeah, but we were shooting above 50%, but we were still at the bottom of the league at 3-point attempts. So it was like we weren't taking a lot of them, but the ones that we were taking, we were hitting at a pretty good clip there for a stretch.
I think even that's why Billy was like, relax. But
I like that.
There's no Stephen Curry here.
Wardell, no Wardell.
There's no Wardell on this.
I got a question for you, bro. This is just before we end this segment. Had the Bulls, let's say Michael Jordan did not come back from that first retirement, right? He did not come back. Would the Bulls have been able to put a championship team around Scottie Pippen? Do you think Scottie could have led the Bulls to a title? Let's say they do eventually still make that Dennis Rodman deal. Do the Bulls still get a title somewhere in there before Scottie leaves the Bulls?
Yeah, they probably get one more. I don't think they get three more. They'll probably get one more, because you also have to think about their big free agent. We talked about it the other day. Their big free agent acquisition was Ron Harper. Ron Harper was 20-plus points a game. Yeah. Ron Harper was a bucket. Like, he came to the Bulls to be a bucket, and then they were like, Jordan's back. And he was like, all right, well, I'm going to just go over here and play some defense, y'all. Like, he was one of the best two-way players in the NBA, putting him alongside arguably the best two-way player in the NBA, who, by the way, led the NBA in most stats that season and led the Chicago Bulls in every statistical category. Like,
this is what I mean by, like, when people, because we even had a dummy in the comments yesterday talking about in our comments saying that you can't. What do you mean? You guys are saying DeMar needs to take a step back. Why would you want? And it's like, you don't know basketball, because you don't know what we mean by take a step back. But like, we're not saying, hey, I'm not going to do anything. Let's let all these guys do it. It means you take a step back because other players are playing better. But this is what I was getting at with this. Ron Harper, in his 5 seasons before joining the Chicago Bulls, 23 points per game, 19.6 points per game, 18.2 points per game, 18 points per game, 20 points per game, and then with the Bulls, 6.9. 7.4, 6.3, 9.3. You know what that tells me? That's a player that accepted taking a lower role for the betterment of the team and went out and turned himself in. I mean, he was already a great two-way player, but then said, hey, all right, I don't need to score. Guess what? Y'all going to fill me on this defensive end of the ball, though.
Yeah, no, 100%. No, that Bulls team to me gets one more. I don't think they get two. I think they still would have kicked the crap out of the Knicks quite a bit. I think Houston would have been a tough a tough beat without Jordan there.
This is true.
And that first year, they didn't get there anyway. That's the one where Jordan actually lost, but nobody talks about that. You know what I mean? But
people really do forget that one. They really do forget that.
When I tell you, this is my thing. Listen, I love the Bulls and I love Michael Jordan and I love Bulls fans. But when Jordan fans try to like talk about revisionist history with LeBron, it cracks me up. Because Muggs sweep 94 under the he wasn't ready and he wasn't. It was like he was there. Like he was still Black Jesus. Like he was still cooking Muggs for over 25 points a game. I mean, like,
it was listen. 45 Michael Jordan, bro, is like I was so glad when he got rid of 45. So glad when he got rid of 45.
How many points he averaged that year, dog? Like he was.
He still balled out. I'm sure he still balled. It's Jeffrey Jordan.
Bro. Yeah, like it. Hold up. It cracks me up because it's just like, man, we never did that with Jordan, and it's like it's exactly what you do with Jordan. 26.9 points per game.
That's ridiculous.
Hey, that didn't happen, man. That didn't happen. Hey, and the 90s was such a dope time. And
he averaged 50% from 3-point range that season.
Bro, the 90s was such a dope time that if you saw highlights of it, that's just what happened. And if you didn't see highlights of it, it never happened. You would think Steve Kerr was putting up 15 shots a game. He was taking 2.
All right, man, let's go ahead and get off there. We got to get into the next segment. But first, got to talk to you guys about betonline.net. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering information, from live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts that have you covered. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening today. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. All right. So there's been apparently some talk about DeMar DeRozan's chances of MVP. And in Portland, of all places, this originated. And now he's gotten picked up by other outlets and stuff. Like, first of all, how bad is it when a city that, like, you have Dame Lillard on your team and you're talking about DeMar DeRozan's chances to win MVP?
Ain't much going on.
Hey, listen.
The NBA world is down right now, bro. Hey, football started last night, bro. Right? Like, we on the back burner right now. We know it, but it's okay. We'll see you on Christmas.
But yeah, bro. So what do you think? Like, DeMar DeRozan, what, it was 9th in MVP voting this past season, right?
Yep.
Do you think DeMar DeRozan has another season and to where he gets in that MVP voting?
I don't. I think he takes a step back because, like I said, just to piss me
off. Hold on. Now somebody's going to be triggered by you saying step back. Well, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
That's what I'm here for. I do think he takes a step back, though, because I'm hoping for help from the rest of this team. I think that there's going to be now, here's the thing, right? It's all about storylines. It doesn't mean DeMar DeRozan won't be in the MVP voting. If the Bulls are winning and DeMar's knocking down clutch shots like he's done for the past 12 years or 10 years, I should say, then he'll be in the conversation, right? But DeMar had to average almost just about 30 plus points a game, 33 points some months, stuff like that. Break a Wilt record for him to get into the MVP voting. I don't know if I want him to have to do that again. Like, listen, I love DeMar, and I think DeMar's an amazing talent, and I'm glad the Bulls have him, and I think that he can do a lot of great things for us in a Bulls jersey. But the one thing that I will say is that DeMar is still, like, it looks great, but if you force a player to play like that continuously, eventually you're going to have that season where it's like, ooh, he don't look good no more.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have that. I think you can prolong how good DeMar DeRozan is if other guys are good around him. I don't need DeMar to be number 2 in MVP voting. I want DeMar to be on this team when we going for a championship run.
And I think that's what people who mistake what step back means, right? We're not saying, hey, DeMar, go out there and do less. We mean, hey, this team should be doing so much better that we don't have to rely on DeMar DeRozan to go out there and play the most minutes of his NBA career at 33 years old, right? You don't want to see that. You want to see a team that's able to have enough of attack that DeMar DeRozan, like I said before, you want DeMar to be around 32, 33 minutes per game. The 38, 36, 38 minutes per game, you don't want to see those nights from DeMar DeRozan. You don't want to have to need that from DeMar DeRozan for your team to be successful. And the reason why is that hopefully Pat, Ayo Dosunmu, Zach LaVine, these players are better and more ready to be equipped. We have a better bench, a bench also that can stay playing their bench role and not have to force to be starters for the majority of the season. In Ayo Dosunmu and Javonte Green, who started more games than they came off the bench last season because of injury. You want to see those type of things so that way you do have fresher legs in the playoffs. For those that say DeMar doesn't need to take a step back, I'm going to point to this. Do you see how DeMar kind of shut down towards the end of the season? And that's because guess what? The dude did everything for us, right? Bro, DeMar did not have it the same way he had it at the beginning of the season. And that's not any fault to him. The dude literally put the team on his back for 4 months out of a 6-month season.
Yeah, that's true. I get it's tough because like we were losing a lot more games, but DeMar was still scoring at a high efficient clip. But there was also just nothing else around him for certain points. And then when you were starting to get guys back, it was all right, we're working this guy in. But then like I remember looking at a game and literally like it's Zach LaVine, it's Alex Caruso, DeMar DeRozan all on the floor. Play happens, playing hard, all that stuff. And then like I think DeMar gets fouled. He's at the free throw line. I see Zach limping left and I see Caruso limping right. And I'm like, Jesus, we're injured. Yeah. Caruso didn't even have a lower body injury. What's he limping for? Like his was a hand. Like,
bro, listen, and you know that hats off. Like, and I don't say that as a negative. Like DeMar, like once Zach's injury in the knee, you could see like Zach's whole second half of this. Once that knee in that Golden State Warriors game started bothering him, he was never the same. Now he had some flashes of quarters and maybe even towards the end of the game sometime, but he was never the same for a full game. And DeMar took that under the chin and was like, "Listen, I got this. I got this."
Here's the thing, right? Like, understandably, we know storylines play into it. Could you see him finishing? Let's say the Bulls have a 50-win season. I think that's a step forward. They're playing well, 50-win season. Could you see them having DeMar in the top 5 of MVP voting, even with taking a step back, if he's still hitting those big shots?
Well, keep in mind, by step back, I really just mean them. He's going to have the same impact. If anything, I think by playing less minutes and he can be even more efficient, that if he has a better team around him, I absolutely think he can still be. Because even if those numbers either stay the same or they drop a little bit, right? If his points per game drop, I'm not expecting DeMar DeRozan's points per game to drop more than maybe 1.5 to 2 points per game if this team is playing better. But with better efficiency, absolutely DeMar DeRozan getting that top MVP.
See, voting. I'm the opposite. You know what DeMar I want for this Bulls team? I want San Antonio, what was that? 2019, 2018 DeMar DeRozan? About 22, 23 points a game. 6 to 7 assists a game. I think that DeMar DeRozan, better. Now, granted, right, you have to have Patrick Williams playing well and Ayo Dosunmu playing well and Zach LaVine being healthy for that to happen. But I think that just makes his Bulls team better because he's now picking his spots where he's being the most deadly. Forget, like in San Antonio, DeMar was getting buckets out here.
Yeah.
And I know like people weren't really watching DeMar, but when you saw him, he was picking his spots where he was absolutely going to kill you and he would kill you.
Yeah. I mean, I think that with a fully healthy Zach LaVine for a full season and hopefully fully healthy DeMar DeRozan for a full season, that we do see all right, they're killing you throughout the game. Maybe even Zach has more points per game. But in that fourth quarter, guess what? Hey, man, listen, either stop me from getting the bucket, and if you try to stop me, guess what? I'm still going to get to the free throw line, and now you're just It's 2 easy points for me.
I would like to see the inverse, right? Because we saw Zach do that a lot last season.
Yeah.
And we've seen Zach do that a lot over his whole career because Zach knows he can get a bucket. Yeah. Zach be like, okay, well, I'm going to let y'all get involved first, find your shot, and then I'll find my shot later in the game. I would like to see the inverse of that with Demar. Because with the numbers he's putting up clutch, with how efficient he is from the mid-range, when I want him cooking in the fourth.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
In the fourth, third quarter, he got 12 points. Now go.
The way that this and I think too, like regardless of talking about DeMar taking a step back or anything else, Billy Donovan has to come up with a better offensive scheme. He has to.
Agreed.
And so if that does happen through continuity, one of the things that need to happen through betting on continuity is the coaching staff needs to find better ways to use and utilize your players. And if that does happen, I do think we can see something like you do right now, because Billy Donovan's coaching scheme for big parts of the season, and it could have been due to injury and things like that, but It was, hey, DeMar, what you got for me?
Yeah, 100%. But I think, right, you also have to look at, again, like the beginning of that season. That scheme wasn't that bad.
This is true.
It was flawless. It was for one of the top offenses in the NBA. And when you start losing, essentially if you lose your point guard, and your point guard's as important as Lonzo was for the Bulls, you're in trouble, right? Like the one player that the reason why Milwaukee was able to go so far in the playoffs is because Drew Holiday stayed healthy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you lose the guy that facilitates everything and controls everything, like, yeah, everything goes through Giannis. But all of the motion outside of that is started through your point guard. When you lose that and then you're like, hey, kid, you ready to play 38 minutes a game? I just got in the league, dog.
I mean, yeah, and I think Io being better prepared his second season is also going to help, even if Lonzo isn't ready to go. But Lonzo is a big part of what the Bulls do. Let's be clear here, and he's a big part, especially when you look at the Bulls getting easy buckets early in the season. That transition, the steals, the defensive intensity, the quick points off turnovers, that was generated by a healthy Lonzo Ball and a healthy Alex Caruso as well to start the season. And we had both of those guys for a combined 60-something games,
something like that.
So yeah,
no, not even that. Lonzo only played.
Lonzo was 35 games,
year.
right? It was 33. Yeah. So come on, man. We got to get it together, bro. We got to get it together, and hopefully health. Well, I think we're going to see big improvements through health alone. But let's go ahead. We're going to transition into the next segment to end the show. We're going to get into voicemails. That's always dangerous to go to voicemails because some of y'all crazy. Like, bro, there are several. I'm not going to lie. We're going to pull the curtain back a little bit. I know you don't listen to the voicemails. I kind of weed through them. But there are several times when people leave voicemails and they're like, don't sign Zach. Bye. Like, what? How am I supposed to use that? What do I do with that? Like, what?
Hey, let's be real. It's on us. It's the energy we bring.
I love it, bro. I love the fans, man. All right, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna get into the first voicemail, man.
What's up, Haize? What's up, Pat? It's your boy Jamal back again with another voicemail for you.
Oh.
So your buy and sell, which I had on today's episode, was really interesting. It made me think of one myself, so I got one for you guys. Buy or sell, Alex Caruso and Lonzo Ball make an all-defensive team, or Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan make all-NBA this upcoming season? Which one do y'all got? Me personally, it's going to be kind of tough. I think that Zach and DeMar might take it. But I wouldn't be shocked if Alex and Lonzo make all defensive team either, because if you remember at the beginning of the season, they both were on their way to making it, and the injuries kind of robbed them of making that all defensive team. But at the same time, we could say the same thing for Zach and DeMar, where injuries robbed them of both making it as well. So which one do you guys got? Zach and DeMar making all NBA, or Lonzo and Alex making all defensive teams next season?
That's a pretty damn good voicemail.
That's a great voicemail. First off, shout out to you, Jamal. That's tough. I gotta pick one. See, you know why it's tough? Because of what Jamal said. At the beginning of if they continued what they were doing at the beginning of the season, Zach LaVine would have been all-NBA. DeMar DeRozan would have been all-NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso would have been all defensive.
and we would have been paying Zach LaVine even more money. But yeah.
Hey, I thought about that too. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was like, maybe not the worst year to have the knee injury, but like I would have rather. That's another story. Don't worry about it. Dang it. I'm gonna go. You know what? Because there's so many talented players, I think there's a possibility that either DeMar or Zach could get left off of an All NBA team, and we'd be on here yelling it's a snub. But I don't think that there's enough great defensive players in the NBA to keep Alex Caruso and Lonzo Ball off. So I'm gonna go with that.
Okay. All right. Cool. I would say, yeah. I think it's more likely the all defensive team. I think that's way more likely. Just kind of looking at it, breaking down, because especially Lonzo, right? Seeing the defensive stats that have come out for Lonzo, like I said it on Chicago Bulls Central, like Lonzo Ball, we got to start talking about Lonzo Ball as not just a great defender, but a generational defender here shortly. If he can stay healthy and maintain that over a couple of seasons, Lonzo Ball is not just a great defender anymore. He's one of he's a generational defensive player, and then with the great 3-point shooting he brings as well. But like, I think that's more likely because, like you said, there's going to be so much competitions at their spots, and hopefully, even in All-Star voting, DeMar is now listed as a forward instead of a guard because he didn't play any minutes at guard for real last season. But with that being said, I don't think that it's too far off to say DeMar and Zach make an all in. Now, is he saying they both make all NBA first team or just an all NBA team?
All NBA team.
If we're saying an all NBA team because there's 3 of them, you know what? Honestly, I think both can happen. I think if with health, both can happen this season.
It's tough for me to. I think both can happen for sure. But the thing that I will say is there's enough players on All NBA. Like DeMar DeRozan got on the All NBA team last year as a forward or as a forward.
He was a forward on the All NBA team, but he was a guard on the All Star voting, which was the first time in history that happened.
So like if you're weirdly enough, right, if you throw him on there as a guard, he could arguably not make it. That's Zach LaVine's spot. Yeah. Right. Like, so it's kind of, it's again, that positionless basketball comes into play and how they put people on there. But I think it'd be tougher for me to say, cause what is that? It's 15 players, right?
Yeah.
It would be tougher for me to say that there are 15 defenders. I get that there are 13 defenders better than Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso over I can find 15 players that are better or will make this, I don't know about better, but that will make this voting over Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. The funniest part about Lonzo's defense too, man, have you ever seen that clip where Lonzo just defends the team?
Oh yeah, all the time, bro. I go and watch that clip all the time because I'm still in awe how quickly he moved between the players, right? But then the thing is this: he was never out of position on the ball. Like most of the times, you're slow in a rotation when you guard that many players. He was never out of position on any. He guarded 4 players in one possession and was not out of position at all, bro. That is amazing, fam.
He a dog, bro. He a dog. My 2 favorite defensive clips from last season is Lonzo doing that, and then Giannis trying to move Alex Caruso in the playoffs and realizing like hey, he a little stronger than I thought he was. Like,
bro,
Giannis was like, huh.
No, you know what? You know one thing that always cracks me up too is that was it our first preseason game? I can't remember. We played the Cavs. And no, I think was it in the I can't remember, but I know Javonte Green was guarding Lauri Markkanen, and literally Lauri looked at Javonte like when did you get on the team? Like
that was in the preseason, yeah.
Bro, that was literally one of the great because at that time it was right after Lauri had left, and I was just like, yeah, man, forget Lauri.
And he yammed on him too,
bro. Now Lauri, I think did get him again back later in the season. He on a play later in the season, but like for that first time happening, that like Lauri literally looking back like, "Are you 6'3" guarding me?" Like, and
but he wasn't moving either.
Bro, Javonte Green is a pit bull, bro. Like he's just a pit bull. That low center of gravity and strength, man.
I feel bad for you because I don't think he's gonna play as many minutes as you.
Oh no, he's not. No, I've said it before. I've said it on Central. Like he's gonna be get minutes at the 3, maybe even still some minutes at the 4. But I honestly think Javonte moving from playing 25 or whatever minutes game he was playing to even being 15 to 16 minutes off the bench makes him more of a dangerous player because he gets to keep that energy level up.
I hope he play that much, bro. I think Javonte out here 10 minutes a game.
You think Dalen Terry's going to pass him up on the depth chart? Because I mean, when you look at it, who's going to be backing up DeMar?
Who's going to be backing up DeMar? Oh, well, yeah, I guess that's a good point. Well, DJJ, but I don't know how much they play him either.
Listen, Javonte Green is definitely above DJJ on the depth chart.
Depends on if Lonzo's healthy.
He's still because Lonzo and Derrick Jones Jr. got some.
He can get Derrick Jones Jr.
That
out
pick and roll, that Lonzo Derrick Jones Jr. pick and roll was a thing of beauty for like 15 games of the season, and then he got hurt, and then by the time he came back, Lonzo was gone. But yeah, I feel you on that one. Let's get into the second voicemail.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Oswaldo from Aurora. Just wanted to call in since it's the off season. I've been dying to watch some Bulls basketball, so I've been catching some of the old games on YouTube, and I stumbled upon that 2009 playoff run that they had against the Boston Celtics.
Oh, you found
They had the young Derrick Rose, young Noah, John Salmons. They had Brad Miller. They had Kirk Heinrich. I mean, that was an awesome series. And it really made me feel like I miss a young core of Bulls. A young core that made me feel excited, that they were having unexpected victories, that were just something awesome to look forward to. And I started thinking about how in the NBA you got the OKC Thunder kind of making some noise like that. You got the Pelicans made some noise in the playoffs last year. You have Detroit coming up. You have all these other teams around us that are just coming up, that are exciting, that are going to have a solid next 5 to 10 years. And then I look at the Bulls and I think, man, their core, I know that there's a couple young guys on there, but like, I don't know, it just made me really think, did I prefer the Bulls when they weren't going to win a championship, but they were young and they were exciting? Or do I like the Bulls now that I feel are not going to win a championship, that have an older veteran kind of a squad? I wanted to hear what you guys think. Hope to hear your response. Go Bulls. Just something.
All right.
Was it running back?
It was running back.
That was a heck of a pause there.
That's a hell of a series to stumble upon, like you said. Like that's the greatest first round series maybe of all time.
Overbeating the defending champs.
Yeah, bro. Because I'm not because of I'm talking about the play. Each game being that was 7 games.
That was more entertaining. We dominated Miami a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, we swept them. Now, I'm not giving that the best series. I mean, it was great from a standpoint of, like, watching us sweep a defending champions. But, I mean, from game to game, that series was so exciting, so enthralling. Even, he didn't mention this player, but even Tyrese Thomas having a couple of games in that series where he was balling out. Like,
gave me some hope, man. Gave me hope. I loved Tyrese Thomas.
Bro, I wanted Tyrese to make it so bad,
I
bro.
wanted him to be good because I was like, bro, like, you jump so high and you defend so poorly.
And that was the thing that was supposed to be his thing, was defense. And then he literally, like, if you blinked at Tyrese Thomas twice, he would jump up to try to block your shot.
Bro, you know what I mean? Like, bro, any pump fake ever thought of, I mean, I just thought of a pump fake, Tyrese Thomas just jumped.
But
do you prefer a young Bulls over a veteran Bulls squad? Like, not even that team, right? Like, say if right now the Bulls were a promising younger team, that's I mean, well, yeah, no, because all our veterans were young. All of our biggest players were young. Over a squad that you just have more expectation on, I guess, because they're vets.
I mean, the only vet we really had on that team was like
Brad Miller.
Well, that and Tim Thomas and John Salmons. I guess was John Salmons technically a veteran at that point?
Salmons was a vet, yeah, because he was with the Kings, right? Or no, we traded him to the Kings. Who was he with before that?
No, I think we got him from the Kings and then trade. No, was he? No, we got him from the Kings. We traded him to the Bucks.
Okay, yeah, I knew it was the Bucks. But yeah, okay. Yeah, John Salmons was a vet at that point, but it's still young. Yeah, I mean, so I'm not gonna lie to you. The young teams are always more fun because your thought process, what can this team become? The problem that I have with it is that by the time they become veterans, we're all ready to ship everybody out. And I don't like that. It's like, well, they haven't gotten it done yet, so get rid of them. It's like, all right, well, that's probably not going to be the move there. Yeah, I mean, I like having a veteran squad that has real expectation, that has real hope, that has real talent on it already, that I know is always going to be there, because I know how to add to that. That young Derrick Rose squad, I didn't know what to add to it because you didn't know what Derrick Rose was really going to become. You could say, oh, we need more shooting. But at that point, Ben Gordon was torching. and just didn't, the Bulls just couldn't get him re-signed. So what were you going to add to that team that was going to make it a championship team when you watched them play the defending at that time, what was going to be the champion that year?
No, they were defending champions that year.
Were they defending that year? Is that the year they won? So you watched them play the defending champions, and they took them to 7 in a series that they competed every single game.
Now, let's be clear here. They took them to 7 without Kevin Garnett being on that team too. Kevin Garnett was missing that whole series. But it was still a fun, entertaining series. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking at that team, and I'll go back to that series, and I just remember, it did feel like that team had so much promise at that point. You thought like, hey, maybe we're a little bit closer than what we were, and then I mean, it kind of is what it is. It was a great series to watch, a great run. The young scrappy team, that was kind of like the end of because was Kirk traded that season? No, he stayed. He was still there for like another season or so, right? Yeah. We lost Ben Gordon after that season. That was the last season.
He started playing 2-guard for us. Yeah, we lost Ben Gordon.
Yeah, and that's that offseason that I gained even more respect for Kirk Heinrich because he was like, all right, I see Ben's gone. Derrick is going to clearly be the starter. Let me transform my body so I can play next to Derrick Rose. That's the type of player Kirk Heinrich was, bro.
And the fact that you just start going through Bulls stats, you're like, Kirk Heinrich, like leading statistical category. I think he just got passed up by Zach LaVine. Last year?
Yeah.
For most 3-pointers in Bulls history.
Kirk Heinrich is like he and that's why when I had the Mount Rushmore talk over on Chicago Bulls Central, and people were literally like, Kirk has to be on there, and I'm like, you know what? From a standpoint of straight owning so many stats in Chicago Bulls history, I can't argue against that at all. There's no argument against it. But yeah, shout out to the voicemails there, bro. We in overtime. Nick gonna get us, bro. We in overtime.
Hey man, it's good content. That's all that matters. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and rocking with us, man. Follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls, and then follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Appreciate y'all for showing love.
You can follow me at CEO Haize, at CEO Haize. Thank you for making Locked On Bulls your first listen every day. Now for your second listen, go and check on Locked On NBA, where the Locked On experts breaks down all the latest news, rumors, and developments going on around the NBA in 30 minutes or less. They can be found wherever you get your podcasts. But for Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This is Locked On Bulls, and we out. Peace, y'all.
Peace.